Hello and welcome back to Taya's YouTube channel. Before we do anything, please like and subscribe. It's free and it really helps my algorithm. It helps me grow my channel. In the second step, we're continuing the planning of the diorama. In this almost 12-foot expansive base, which we have right here, we now need to make decisions on how to best utilize that space and build an interesting three-dimensional landscape. First of all, we need to decide where to place the train tracks and how long it will be and where the tunnel will be built. Why a tunnel? Well, if you've ever been to the Rocky Mountains, one of the most interesting sights that you will see is watching the train disappear inside the mountain. There's a magical quality to that. Of course, I could just save myself the trouble and the work by building the village up around the tracks and having the train disappear behind the buildings and disappear from sight, but that magical element would be lost. If you've ever seen a child's face when they are waiting for the train to reappear from the tunnel, you would not consider anything else but a tunnel. But building a tunnel invariably comes with challenges. Model trains almost always derail inside the tunnel. At least that's my experience. So you will need access to the tunnel after it's built. That access can be achieved by building a cavity in the back of the tunnel where you could put your hand in and retrieve the train, or as I did last year, building a portable tunnel in which you can simply pick up and remove and then replace when you've got the train back on the track. The choice is quite clear, I think, this year because I have glued the baseboards all together and cannot therefore pull out one table to get behind it. I had thought the console table might be easier and more portable than the other two-foot tables. However, I carved the base around the trim on the door, and therefore that table also is not movable. So it will have to be a portable tunnel, which I can simply lift off and replace, or even just a section of the tunnel. That might be the solution. Why worry about it at all? Well, I've learned the hard way that if you ignore this and you don't give yourself access, the resulting mess you create while trying to retrieve the derailed train is just not worth it. So first of all, I'll be placing the various elevated platforms on the base. I will need to elevate them off the base simply to allow me to drill holes in them for the lights of the buildings in the elevated layer and space to let the cords of the light go to the back towards the power bars and the outlet on the bottom. As well, I need to plan where the waterways will be going, as I love to have a river running through the village for fishing and for skating, where to place the ice rink, and perhaps a Christmas tree lot or playgrounds, etc. The buildings themselves are fairly easy to place with special attention to churches and a school with a schoolyard. For instance, you would not place a church next to a restaurant or a cafe or even a bar, and you wouldn't place a windmill next to a bookstore or a farm next to a mansion. So these things all need to be thought out and rearranged on the platform as time allows. Everything in your diorama needs to make sense. You need to plan your roadways and your walkways, cliffs and fences. You can't place a horse and carriage on a roadway where people are walking or standing or chatting. Anything that doesn't happen in real life shouldn't happen in your village. The last thing you want is for people to look at your village and get uncomfortable because of the danger that they perceive. So let's get started and let's see how far we get today and tomorrow. My videos are going to be a little bit longer this year because there's a lot of work involved and I don't want to spread it out over like 30 videos. I want to make sure that each video is watchable and a little bit longer in length than the last year's. So these are pieces that I had cut off of the custom sized styrofoam, and I saved these pieces. I saved them all because there's many uses for them all. I just put them all in a plastic bag, and you never know when you can use them. When you're all finished your diorama, everything's all set up, then you can get rid of all the extras. But in the meantime, they're all standard, exactly the same height. So I can use these as pedestals, if you will, underneath the extra slabs. So now I need to decide where I want to build up the diorama. I'm going to start on this side and just take an extra of styrofoam that comes in a pack of 6. And I want to leave a little bit of area here because there's any number of things we can do in this area. I can always build the river on this area and like a pond here or an ice rink here, or I can even do I think what I'm going to do is have the train track here in the center, and we'll just play around with this for a little bit and see what works. The reason I'm doing it on pedestals is so that I can drill holes in the styrofoam and put the cords through and feed them to the back. There's a space between the wall and the base of about 2 inches, so that I can feed all the cords to the bottom and 2 power cords on power packs underneath. My hot wire foam factory styrofoam slicer. It's also a very, very handy tool. The other tool, unfortunately, I broke it. I pushed too hard and it just snapped right off. So I have to use this one until I can afford to buy another one of the wands. This is a slicer and it works quite well. You have to wait for it to warm up and then you can just bring it right through it just cuts right through the styrofoam. You have to keep your hands steady, otherwise you get all little bends and bows into the cut. And again, not to pull too hard, or you break the wire. I've learned the hard way to keep a store of wire, extra store of wire in the house. You switch it off. And let's see how that looks, whether that fits along that wall. Unfortunately, it's still not quite the way I want it. It's a lot better to make it diagonal. This one here, diagonal, and the other one on top of that will be straight. So, because I've got the door trim here, I think I'm just going to take a little piece out so that it fits against the door trim. And mark it first. There we go. Fits beautifully. So I think that's the way I'm going to have it. Might use one small adjustment. The nice thing is you can always go back and try again and do it over again. Mind you, once you have the piece cut off, you can't put it back on unless you glue it back on. The one thing I forgot to mention with these tools is you probably should be wearing a mask because they do emit a gas, and they say that the gas is not good for your lungs. I keep forgetting to put a mask on, but I should put a mask on when I cut with these tools. It's a lot of fiddling. Still not quite right. Try again. It's just not fitting properly in the corner, so I want to adjust it to make sure it fits properly. There we go. That's much better. And this is part of the planning. You are building in a way, but it is part of the planning. Okay, now let's just try to see what it's almost like a staircase. I think that's probably the way I would like to see it. So off camera, I glued these pieces together, and I've laid these braces here to give the space between the two slabs of styrofoam. And so now I'm just going to lay this one on top because I've got the glue on the spacers. And you press it down for a few minutes. And now I won't play with this anymore today. I'll just leave it to set overnight, and by tomorrow morning this should be all stabilized. This tool is really lovely as well for carving, and I've got these points here on the edge, so I'm just going to carve the points off. And make it like so. I don't know if you can see this. In the meantime, there's one other thing I can do. I can see what a backdrop might look like in the back. This is a thinner piece of styrofoam. It's the 1 inch, or I think it's probably a little bit less. It looks to me like I'm going to need one piece on top of each other. To bring the necessary height for the mountains. That gives me a really good idea as to how high the mountains will be and where I can place the canvas. Let me show you the canvases that I purchased with the fiber optic lights. It's still wrapped in cellophane. But this is what it looks like. And that will be behind, I have to put a battery in the side here. It's a place where you put the battery. Can't find it. Maybe it's in the back. Yes, it's in the back. Battery pack, you put 2 AA batteries there, and it lights up that night sky. So that with the mountains in front and the night sky above it, that will be really pretty. But more about that later. I hope you've enjoyed today's video on the planning and the starting of the build of the Christmas village of this year. There will be more to come. In the next video, I will probably be setting up the train tracks and deciding where I'm going to be putting all the features of my Christmas village. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in step number 3. I want to wish you peace and blessings. Goodbye.